Okay, so just quickly got to say this. I've just been watching Gabor Matar. I think you know what I mean? Amazing doctor. He really gets at that trauma and everything else. And that many more things trauma does that don't seem to be necessarily traumatic. Well, anyway, he's just been talking about the war and how he was a baby and, of course, his mother living with the fear that he was going to die and she was going to die, etc., etc. Now I've figured out why we have wars. The whole point of a fucking war is to totally traumatise all the women left at home with fear so that their kids are really fucked up for several generations, yeah? And it's just a fucking plus that we end up killing millions of the men too. Are you getting it? This is the lie of it all. This is the sham, the shame, the disgusting way that we've been treated. It's all about the mother and the child. People are talking about the Twin Towers coming down and that they represented the man and the woman and Building 7 represented the child. No, it didn't. It represents two men, the two brothers, two men. And what is it saying? It's saying two men cannot have a child. The whole agenda has been gender. They want you so fucking confused you don't know whether you're up or you're down. And they've been succeeding for a very long time. And then we've been totally traumatised by our parents' memory of the war. And if I'm in my mother, I'm also in my grandmother. And so that's 3 generations of damage there. Frightened to come out of the womb because the bombs are going off. Yeah, terrified in church that God's going to strike you down and kill you. Yeah, that's what my mum was terrified of. And the extraordinary thing is, my mum brought me up so bloody well. She made me absolutely riveted by thunderstorms and lightning. That I loved it so much and got so... But then again, I'm an electric, so I love that electricity in the air. I would climb up on a stool as little as anything and open the door and run out into the storms. Yeah? My mum made sure I was never scared of spiders. And I have a feeling that's because her mother was terrified of spiders, which went off onto my mother, and so my mum, being as tough as anything, made that not a problem, but also it helped me to not be scared of things like that. It's very clever. And it seems now that we're actually getting back the tools to be enabling us to understand the truths and who we really are. You really need to look at your mind calendar. You need to discover what you are, because that is the solution. That tells you everything that you need to know about yourself. Yeah? But they've brought us every other which way that they can. They've brought us astrology, all these different things to convolute everything and make things difficult. Come on, kitty cat. Come on then. Come on then, puss. So who's little pretty? Hello, pretty. You've been in the cobwebs. This little girl's been travelling with me for the last 3 months. She's a little corker. She's beautiful. So anyway, that was my point on war. Isn't that interesting? Had nothing really to do with all of that. It has to traumatise that mother, that baby, and also the seeds within that baby. So that knocks out 3-4 generations of living in fear. Yeah? What about all those children who are in little shelters now across the world where these awful wars are happening? And why are they happening? It's power. It's all about power, it's all about money, it's all about fucking greed, and it's all about damaging the human soul. Because these people that design the war, these people that send you to war, they are not humans. Are you going to wake up yet? Whatever you want to call them, aliens, fucking whatever. They're not human. They have no empathy. That's why the world is full of fucking narcissists. Yeah, and you'll seem to be an idiot if you do something kind. Here's one thing that I know you can all do. Go get an ordnance survey map, 1.25, or go and get the local walking ordnance survey map of your area and mark every spring and every well that you find on there. It's like homework, it's like fun, it's like research. It's so exciting because it's written so tinily so that you don't find it. And then go and and walk around with your friends and other people that are awake and find these wells and tidy them up and clear the rubbish, yeah? And start making your surroundings more beautiful. Start making things change, yeah? You have to be the change you want to see in the world. And since I started picking up rubbish, my life has completely changed. Completely changed. And it's like broken windows. If there's broken windows, there'll become more broken windows, yeah? But if you mend the broken windows, people don't break them in the first place. Yeah? All of our youth, all of my generation, the 60s, and what else were we traumatised by? So I was born in 1962. Why is it that I hold such this huge thing for the Kennedy family, yeah? How is that possible? Because all of that was in that atmosphere at the time. Everyone was in complete meltdown. And the next time that happened, when was that? Oh, when Lady Diana died. That's when people's heart chakras really opened across the world. When everybody jointly lost somebody that they admired, loved, cared about. And felt so bad for those two boys, those two poor fucking boys that had to march in suits behind their mother's coffin in front of the fucking world. How dare they do that to those boys? That was private. That was private. And they should have been allowed to say goodbye to their mother privately. No wonder they're all broken. They're all broken. Charlie boy, they're all fucking broken. Because they were handed off to nanny and left alone. And left by themselves. And nobody told them they were good, and nobody told them they were lovely, and nobody loved them. And nobody hugged them. Please, we've got to stop this traumatising each other all the time. Everybody needs a hug. Everybody needs love. And if they don't, then you know they're not real. You know they're not a human being. Yeah? So, stop doing what they want us to do, to hate each other and to fight and to quarrel. I don't give a damn what you think about anything. You have an opinion and I'm willing to hear it. I'm not going to get angry and I'm not going to get offended because you have every right to have that opinion. That's where you've got to through how the signs in your life has shown you. Yes, we're all in different places. And that's fine. And it's interesting. In the old days, that was called a fucking conversation. You'd talk about things. Yeah? And dissect it and maybe change your view or, maybe disagree more. But you don't then get up and smack each other, fucking shoot each other in the bloody brain because you can't cope that the other person thinks differently from you. For God's sake, what does that mean? Wake up, people. Start eating wild meat. Start eating halal meat. I start eating meat where that animal was prayed over before it died and not sent to a slaughterhouse. Look at the word slaughter. It's got an S for a serpent at the beginning and the rest of the word says laughter. Well, there's nothing funny about a fucking slaughterhouse, I can tell you. We live near one in Canterbury. And right next to it is this beautiful, beautiful, green, healthy, beautiful field, yeah? Ready for the taking, any animal that wanted to eat that amazing grass. And where were they all? In 2 foot, up against the fence, as far away from the fucking abattoir as they could get, in thick, thick mud. They were too scared to fucking eat. Because they smelt the death, they could hear the death. Yeah, that's not how it's supposed to be done. Yeah. And if you're really connected to your animals, they'll literally come over and bow down and say, I'm ready to be taken. Because you've loved me and you've looked after me. We've so lost it. And let's talk about the pig, the amazing pig, yeah? It's actually a sacred animal. And why is that? Well, do you remember back when the ark was built, 2 by 2, and all those animals and all those people? And what do men, women, children, and animals all do? They all shit and they all pee, yeah? So they would have peed in the sea, yeah? or whatever the water was at that time, whether it was, I don't know whether it was sea or whether it was drinking water, would have peed in the water, and the pigs would have eaten everybody's shit. And that's why you don't eat a pig, because it will eat the crap. It will eat all the crap. And that's what saved everybody's life, because they cleared up the mess. Do you really think in medieval times, yeah, where there were lots of pig farmers and stuff, that there was shit in the street and everyone was fucking dying of disease? Of course they fucking weren't. The pigs were eating it. We've lost our... The only research any of us should be doing is the research of our own family to truly know who you are. Who are the male ancestors in your family? What is that name? Look up everything you possibly can. Find out the flag. Find out what clan they were in. Find out where they're from. Yeah? Find out who you really are. And then do the maternal line. And that's the important one. That's a really important one. And that's why they give you the men's names, so that we forget who the women were. Look up your family history, because it's majorly important. And say prayers for all those women that suffered whilst listening to bombs or listening to swords crashing against swords and hearing men screaming in fields, yeah, and dying for nothing, except the greed of narcissists. Getting a kick out of watching men. Everything's upside down and back to front and inside out. Start looking at the messages, start reading the signs, start seeing them. Basically, you've been left leaving breadcrumbs everywhere as a trail. Yeah? In your own murder story. That's basically what's going on. Yeah? Be the detective